Aloha YouTubers and all of my subscribers and mahalo for joining me once again for another exciting head scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. Today I'm gonna read another case. I was hoping I can get another one in, so I did. This case is about Fran Weaver. Fran Weaver vanished on 02/01/60, 25 miles northwest of Cody, Wyoming. She was 56 when she vanished. And she's also the owner of Golf Creek Lodge, now named Creekside Lodge at Yellowstone in Cody, Wyoming. Now, Golf Creek Lodge, from what I read, was erected by a person who knew Roosevelt, the President Roosevelt, personally. His name, I'll get to that part later, but anyway. Fran Weaver, Fran Weaver had recently become the owner of Golf Creek Lodge, 10 miles east of the east entrance of Yellowstone Park. John Goff, a hunting guide, trapper, and personal friend of Theodore Roosevelt, founded the lodge in 1912. Letters between Roosevelt and Goff are still on site at the lodge. In January and February of 1960, Fran was staying with a friend, Olive Fell. Olive was a local artist who had made friends with Fran upon her recent purchase of the lodge. Olive's cabin was 25 miles northwest of Cody and approximately 15 miles from the Golf Lodge. Sometime during the day of February 1st, 1960, hold on one second here. Okay, there we go. In 1960, Fran left her cabin and went for a hike. When she didn't return for dinner, Olive became concerned and called law enforcement. Sheriff Harley Kincaid and a contingent of deputies scoured the North Fork Mountains for Fran, but no trace was found. They then switched their focus and decided that she might have gone to her own lodge. They started to search the Golf Lodge area. The lodge sits near Highway 20 along the river at an elevation of 6,000 feet. An extensive search of the area around the ranch was unsuccessful. As a coincidence, the Golf Creek Lodge is extremely close to the location where Vanita Crook disappeared. Law enforcement officials described Fran Weaver as tall and slender, with auburn hair and blue eyes. They stated that she came to Cody from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Fran's husband, Art Weaver, traveled to Cody and assisted in the futile search. Now, David Paulides found 4 newspaper articles about Fran Weaver, and none indicated that she was ever found. However, she is not listed on any database as a missing person. The Golf Lodge is still open but operating under a different name. Okay. Now, this case is, baffling at best because she was with a friend. She decided to go off on her own and hike. Now, that seems to happen in a lot of these cases where they tend to go off alone and hike, not knowing the dangers of going into these national parks. Now, there's a lot of people out there that may say, oh, that's never going to happen to me. Who's to say that she didn't already know about the mysterious vanishings that happen in all these parks, whether it be Yellowstone or Yosemite? But at the same time, people who love to hike, camp, and jog on these trails in the parks, that's just something they love to do. And I guess they figured that, okay, they may have disappeared, but that's not going to happen to me. I know this area very well. I mean, she probably did. Maybe she didn't. She didn't seem like she was unable to do any of this stuff. She obviously was, very slim, so she was also probably very energetic, even at the age that she was. But at the same time, uh, you have to be very careful. I suggest you try to find out as much about the area as you possibly can. Now, I'm not saying that she didn't already know about these mysterious vanishings that happen in these national parks. She probably did. But at the same time, I have grown to know that a lot of elderly people, they have the type of mentality where they say, well, I'm old, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't got much long on this earth anyway, so whatever happens, happens. God is going to take care of me. Some of them act like that. My nana was like that, when she passed away. She was very, um, um, she was a God-fearing woman, okay? She read her Bible every single day. So, most elderly people are prepared for that day when they pass. But in this case, you don't know if she passed or not. She just disappeared. So once again, that's when the idea of a portal pops up, in the conversation. In my conversation anyway. That's one of my main theories. If a person can just vanish without a trace and is never found, there's no evidence to lead to how she vanished, or there was probably no evidence that led to where she was going. She just hiked. You know, and when you're dealing with a hike, you got footprints of different people. And I'm talking thousands of people that hike in probably that same area almost every day throughout the year. So a lot of the footprints kind of get meshed together. So it's like you can't never tell whose footprint is whose. So in her case, she went for a hike and just vanished. The funny part about all these is that that's the only evidence you got when it comes to people vanishing. You just know that they're just gone. You don't have any evidence to state where they were going. Sometimes you don't have any footprints, but they just walk into oblivion. Just walk into whatever, and they just gone. Now, I mean, there's really nothing else to say about this. She just disappeared and was never found. There are cases where they still disappear and they're found maybe 4 years later in a box canyon somewhere, or in a ravine, or in an area that's very inaccessible to anybody. And you start to say, how in the world did she get there in the first place? Because we could barely get down there because it's thorny, there's probably a lot of brush, and it's probably a deep ravine, maybe, I don't know. But in her case, she just disappeared. I mean, all they know is what she may have been doing before that happened. She went for a hike, and somewhere between point A and point B, they don't even know exactly where she was going. They just know she went for a hike. So somewhere along that hike, that's when she met with opportunity she had no control over, and obviously didn't see what was about to happen. So she walked right into it. It's got to be a dimensional portal. It can't be anything else. Or she might have been picked up by aliens right off the ground, but they didn't say anything about footprints leading to a certain point. They just said that she went for a hike and they went searching for her and never found her. So that's the bad part about all these cases. When you got the National Park Service or law enforcement, doing an extensive search for a person, the leads lead to nowhere. They didn't say anything about footprints. They just said that they searched a large span of the area and created a grid search for certain areas. There are people who search areas 50 times over and they're never found. But then that 51st time, they actually find a person in the same area that they searched more than once. So whoever does this, or whatever is doing this, they take the person, they extract them, they extract their body's energy or life force out of their body, then they toss them back to where they found them. Or sometimes they just toss them anywhere. It could be hundreds of miles away from where they were last seen, and they wait until after they search the area more than once just to mess with their head, and then boom, there they go, right there, dead as a doornail. But the coroner can never, as always, the coroner can never find a cause of death. So this goes back to what I said before about how when they can't find a cause of death, obviously it's got to be some type of spirit drinking creature, or they feed off of energy and suck the energy right out of your body, causing you to die because you don't have enough energy to stay alive. Not saying that happened to her, but I'm just saying. But yeah, that's a pretty crazy story too. It's not creepy, but it's got your mind turning because you be like, how could she just vanish without a trace? You know, most people cannot even fathom that a person can just seemingly disappear just like that within a snap. But it happens, folks, because we're talking about a planet that we've been living on for centuries and don't know nothing about this planet. So there's some otherworldly stuff about this planet. Our planet probably crosses with other dimensions and crosses with other uh, uh, um, Earths where we're connected by some invisible tunnel that leads from one Earth to another. Okay, who knows? But I do know that we don't know a lot about this planet. Okay, there are certain like energetic portals that lead to these different places all the time. You know, there's a story about a pilot who was flying over, I think, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, or just Florida alone. And all of a sudden, he just happened to look down and saw that there was nothing down there but landmass. Okay, it was almost like he was transported back to when Florida was just nothing but land, and there was no type of life on there, no buildings, no nothing. It was just the landmass. I mean, if you look at a map and you see how Florida is shaped, it looks like a little extended like leg or a landmass. Okay, that's all he saw. Yet the people on the ground can see him flying overhead, just going around in circles. So it was almost, it's like I said, sometimes our world crosses with other worlds, you know, and the world that he just happened to be in was or he somehow traveled back in time and could see Florida the way it looked before the population um, increased, or before it became populated with humans and buildings and stuff like that and roads. Okay, but at the same time, the people on the ground could see him flying around, so he was seeing Florida way before civilization arose. But they was looking up and seeing him flying around, like they're trying to figure out why was he doing it. And all of a sudden, the a person at the tower of the airport that he was flying around, they just saw him just vanish in the thin air. So whatever happened to that guy, I don't know. He probably had to land on Florida, on which is basically just nothing but dirt, And I'm talking about the entire state of Florida was nothing but land. There was no buildings, no roads, no nothing. It was just nothing but a landmass. So you would think they would probably find his plane somewhere in Florida, but no one's ever really thought about it. It could just be a story. I don't know, but I did hear about this years ago when I was a kid. So anyway, gotta go. That's all. It's all, pretty much all I got on that story. So always imparting. Aloha, mahalo, and ohui ho. Peace.